So I'm hearing a lot of generations past talking about money, right? Because we're in a recession slash depression slash aggression, all of that, right? Repression and oppression, right? See, here's the issue. Generations past that didn't learn the secrets about money, didn't learn the real diehard truth about money, they're going to be the main ones and are the main ones that are really complaining about the lack of money, about there not being enough money, about things being too expensive. Are things expensive for many people? Absolutely. But not every group is complaining about it. Some groups are just saying, you know what? I'm going to cut back. I don't need this. When the money was good, I used to get this and this every day. I don't need to have that no days now if it means me keeping my money, if it means me keeping afloat. See, the people who talk like this, the people who talk like, oh, everything is too expensive. Oh, I keep running out of this. They don't know when the next bill is coming. They don't know when the next bill is due and is already scheduled. They don't know. They're not paying attention. They don't know how much they're spending every day. They can't. They're not in a grocery store thinking about what they're buying. They're trying to invent stuff to buy. They're creating needs that don't even exist, creating wants that shouldn't even be there, doing indulgences based on emotionality and not based on discretionary spending. These people do not budget. So I'm going to say something that's going to be very economically disrespectful. All right. This is going to be real cutthroat. It's going to be real dirty. All right. If you don't budget, you should not be earning a living. If you do not budget, you should not be earning a living. And I'm going to say it again. If you do not budget, you should not be earning a living. It is stupid for you to have a job if you do not budget. It is stupid for you to have a career and you do not budget. It is stupid for you to be a hustler and you do not budget money. It is stupid for you to be an entrepreneur and you don't budget money. All you have to do when you budget money is add and subtract. All you have to do is add and subtract. And I need to say that again. All you have to do is add and subtract. Not unless you're at the corporate level where you have to worry about division and multiplication in terms of money. But if you're an employee, whether working for somebody or self-employed, all you have to do is add and subtract. The people complaining about things being too expensive, complaining about all of this overhead, complaining about the prices constantly going up. Why? Because they don't take the time to add and subtract. They don't know when the next bill is coming. Why? Because they don't take the time to add and subtract. They're in over their heads and they got to make arrangements for everything they set up. Why? Because they don't take the time to add and subtract. They're getting things from all of these they're renting all kinds of pieces, renting all kinds of furniture, renting all kinds of entertainment systems, and with the interest and the yield and the monthly payments, by the time they're finally done, they done bought the thing 3 times versus the price that it would have been had they initially what dealt with addition and subtraction. And here's an even darker thing. Here's an even darker side to this, but more core, more the root of this problem. They have no self-control. They have no self-control. No self-control. This is what's spilling into the other thing. You're not going to add and subtract. You're not going to take the time to budget if you have no self-control. You're not going to forego spending emotionally if you have no self-control. Of course, you're not going to know where the money is going when you have no self-control. Of course, you're going to live paycheck to paycheck when you have no self-control. Of course, you might be facing this and that when you have little to no self-control. Let me tell you what happens when people are grieving due to their own lack of self-control that they don't want to face, that takes place in just a very economic debacle. To say the very least, to say the very least, it's beyond ridiculous. It's beyond ridiculous. It's straight up asinine. It's straight up inane, insane. They don't want to add and subtract. So the penalty for not adding and subtracting, the pain, causes them to spend more money to try to bandage up the wound, to try to deal with the pain, to cope with the pain, to try to numb themselves from their own irresponsibility, their own lack of self-control, their own foolishness, their own rashness, jumping into things that cost a lot of money that they have no business even touching, because they're jumping into things with money and they don't even understand what they're jumping into. They're not reading the big print nor the fine print, but they want to throw all of their money behind something and then cry foul when they lose. No, you lost by going into something that you did not understand with your money. And you're going to blame everybody else for not playing catch up for your mistakes. You're gonna try to put the weight on other people's shoulders when you're supposed to be really the one laying the foundation, but now there's no foundation and all the pressure goes onto the next generation, next business partner. All the pressure goes onto your friend, your spouse. Now the pressure gets pushed over into your child. I'm gonna tell you how real it is. A lot of children have bills put in their name because their parents was messing up money from the beginning. Before the student loan, before the student debt, their parents was messing up money because they had no self-control and they did not take the time to add and subtract, because they had no self-control, and then wanted to cry foul to push their kids, their generation, to push their people, push their, maybe their best friends, neighbors, whoever they could try to ride on the hog with. And when you pay attention to how they spend on autopilot. Everything is an impulse. Everything is an impulse. Is how I feel. Be careful for people. Be careful about people who lead with their feelings. Am I saying that you want to be heartless? Absolutely not. That doesn't even apply to this conversation. But people who are led by their feelings economically, they fall for this every time. Ooh, that couch looks good. That living room set looks good. I have to have it now. Even though I don't have $3,400 right now. I have to have it now. How much do I need to spend before I take it home now? And I'm sorry to all the businesses out there who do this, who been making a killing from this, but anybody who enters that arrangement is stupid. Sorry to say it. You're not reading the fine print. You don't know what the interest rate is. You don't know what, 3 years at this much per month. You don't know what that's going to total, because you're not taking the time to add and subtract. You need to be going in these stores, renting where they rent things, and you need to be asking a question like, okay, this is the price. How much would the plan be? If I got to pay $25 a month for 5 years on something that only costs $2,200, nah, I'm walking out of your store. I could save up to $2,200. If I got $2,000 on me, I can get it for $2,000. I'm gonna get a discount if I got the money, if I got the discipline, if I got the self-control, if I have the will to add and subtract. Just add and subtract. You got calculators on your phone now. Just add and subtract. You don't have to write it down with pen and paper no more. We've been paperless for over 20 years now. Come on. It's addition and subtraction now. If you never learned math, all right, it is what it is. But you don't have to know math. You have calculators in your phone. If you have a smartphone, even the old school phones had calculators in them. Even before the phones became smart, there was calculators in them. You had the advantage of a pencil. Pencil and paper. You can erase mistakes. And you was messing up money even back then. You're not fit to earn. You're not fit to earn. And the worst thing that you can do is put these people in positions of economic comfort. Let them have a job for 20 years. They're going to be finished if they went into that with no financial discipline, because they're not going to be faced with the hard reality of having to budget for real because of the uncertainty of the amount of money that's going to come in. If you're at a job where you can stay there for 10, 15, 20, 25 years and get a raise every year, and you're thinking that that's going to last forever, and you're expecting that parachute to be golden still with no inflation, because you're not paying attention, you have no self-control, no discipline. You're not taking the time to even see how the money is moving, to even see what the dollar is worth, to even see how the prices and the costs are raising. You're not even looking at projections. You're not even looking at what things are projected to be. You're not paying attention to the money you spend. because you're not adding and subtracting. If you add and subtract, you're spending the money, you're allocating the money versus losing the money. You're allocating it. So you know to cut yourself off. A lot of these people, the reason why they'll never be anything but broke is because they can't eat the same thing twice. And I know that's going to hurt a lot of people's feelings, and I hope it does. A lot of people are going to be broke for the rest of their lives until they die, right? Because they can't eat the same thing twice. A lot of people are going to be broke forever because they don't want to cook. And now it's even easier for you not to. You don't even gotta pull up to the drive-thru now. A car will come bring it to you. They'll DoorDash it to you. That's cute in a snowstorm. So you gotta have self-control, discipline. And if you don't, you're not gonna be doing anything real with money, no matter how much of it you have. It's stupid for somebody that's a multi-millionaire to file for bankruptcy. Why aren't they adding and subtracting? And why aren't they finding out the fine print and the large print of anything that they're getting into before they get into it? If you know how to add and subtract, you don't need an accountant. You don't need an accountant. You can find out how to use the decimals to calculate percentages. If you don't want to go to jail for tax evasion, you'll learn it. These folks is superstars losing their freedom over taxes, losing their freedom because they're not adding and subtracting. They making millions, but they're not adding and subtracting. They're not adding and subtracting something that you learned in the first and second grade. They're not adding and subtracting. They grown. They got millions. They got mansions. They got Ferraris, Lamborghinis. But they're not adding the subtraction. They're not using the calculator section of their phone. They're not using the note section of their phone to find out when the bills are. They're not having that conversation with the IRS and just being, here's the raw figure that I made, how much we owe you. All right, we cutting the check right now. It should be. They're not having these conversations. They hiring an accountant. You don't know what the accountant doing with the money. Don't you want to be over that money? These folks be putting money in all kinds of digit things. And I'm not saying that these things are bad. I'm not saying like putting it in 401ks and all of that. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I've enjoyed the advantages of putting those in certain accounts for certain reasons because the 1-to-1 ratio and the matching was high. It was like dollar for dollar up to like almost 60%. Of course I was jumping on that, but the people who complain about prices and inflation and everything costing too much, they don't even understand that part of the conversation. They don't even know what that means. They looking at you like you invented fire. They put the Neanderthal face on, the Cro-Magnon man, or whatever they call it. Homo erectus, not even sapien yet. So never truly economically sentient. Just drones, just human androids, human machinery. They're built only to be used on the assembly line. And that's no disrespect to any kind of job. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying for folks who don't budget and don't have self-control, the mindless tasks that are more mindless, less detailed, that's who those kind of things are made for. You would call it, work is work, good hard work. No, all work ain't the same. Because how could another person make $30-something an hour and they're not really lifting a finger? All they got is a mouse and all they got is a laptop. See, it's not, everybody's created equal, but you're only going to get your life based on what your output is. That's all you're going, life is not going to be given to you equally. If you're irresponsible with money, you deserve to complain. Not deserve to complain, but you deserve to economically suffer. You have to have self-control. You have to budget. You have to be really thinking about where your money's going to go before it leaves your hand. A lot of people don't do that. They just spend the money and then try to look and see what the damages is. What did they do? Like, what's the damage? What you mean, what's the damage? You need to be preventing the damage. You talking about you're walking in a construction site blindfold with no helmet, with wrecking balls and cranes and all kind of machinery going on? Is that what you're doing? Yeah, that's what you're doing. Let me see the damages. The damages, you should have been calculating, you should have been adding and subtracting. All right, I'm going in the store with this much. For every item that I put in the cart, I'm going to subtract it from this much, and now I got this much left. How difficult is that? I'm not about to put half a carriage of food back. What if I got dairy products in there? This thing is deeper. With even certain forms of diet can change when you're feeling the pains of being economically irresponsible. Let's say you feel a lack of love and a lack of joy. You're going to be searching for things that are more sugar based. You're going to find yourself buying more snacks than food. You don't have nothing in the freezer, but you got 10 bags of chips and donuts and cookies and pies and little custards, but you have nothing to cook. That's a problem. You want to constantly be looking for experiences rather than being disciplined. You want to try this and try that and try this. Exploration is good for extra money, and that has to be allocated. You have to say, look, I'm only going to spend this much trying something new now. I ain't about to. You got to really be thinking about that too. Budgeting is real. It's not just a cute thing. See, a lot of people was ridiculing us for advertising budgeting, and I'm gonna say it. We got a lot of flack from the boomer generation. More than any other generation, we would get a lot of flack from the boomer generation about budgeting. They would just dismiss us and kind of like look at us like we're trying to be something that we're not. Yeah, we are. We're trying to be rich. We're trying to be wealthy, something that we're not. Yeah, we want to put the hard work in. We want to learn all of the big words that y'all afraid to look up in the dictionary. We want to find out what that stuff means. Because it's affecting us now in 2023. And economically, as a people, you may still be at the bottom. And it doesn't have to be that way. The people who have this quote unquote system, they're adding and subtracting. Multiplying and dividing too, but that's a whole nother conversation, even for people who take budgeting seriously. If you're budgeting seriously, we can't even, until you're budgeting seriously, we can't even talk about multiplication and division. How are we going to talk about the product and the quotient without, what is it? The sum and the minus, or whatever it is for subtraction, the sum and the minus. Arithmetic. Folks are scared of math. And ain't nobody saying that you have to know calculus in order to balance a checkbook. You don't have to know trigonometry in order to have your money right. You don't even have to have a high paying job in order to have your money right. You just have to know what your money is doing. And this is what it is, because the prices of things are changing. And they always have changed. Gas went up, gas went down. Yeah, gas now was cheaper than it was when the 9/11 originally popped off that summer. Man, it was crazy. It was almost $2 to $3 higher than we have it now, even when it's bad. It was bad. But it wasn't as bad for those who were budgeting. Yeah, so what? It meant me saying, all right, I ain't gonna go to the movies every Friday. I'm gonna just chill. I'm gonna chill out this time. All right, I'll go with y'all. You know what I mean? To put in on gas or whatever the case. I'm not gonna joyride. I ain't gonna just jump on the highway when I feel like just thinking. I'm gonna sit in the car and think with the car off because the gas costs. I'm thinking. I ain't gonna take the joyride if it's if it's $5 a gallon and I only got $35 in the bank and I gotta make it through the week. I'm not about to go to the packy until I see what the money is looking like for the rest of the week. I'm not going to go to the block and do this and that before I see what the money looking like for the rest of the week, what the money looking like for the rest of the day. I'm thinking about it. You got to be planning it throughout the month. This is before you even spend the money. You got to spend the money. I'm going to say that again. Before you even spend the money, you got to spend the money. Here's what happens. If you don't do that, the way bills are just automated and the way you could get money taken out for delinquency anyway, they'll spend it before you spend it. I mean, all sorts of things. I mean, these are the people that'll be they'll be tithing out of their gross to pastors and shepherds that they don't even know, just going with the herd. And we know where the herd is being led. It's being led to the slaughterhouse because somebody out there likes meat. Somebody out there need a steak. So go with the crowd if you want to be in the produce. If you want to go see the butcher. The butcher coming if you want to go see the butcher. Shout out to Benny the butcher. There's butchers waiting on people who go with the herd because the herd is going straight to the slaughterhouse. Shout out to Joe Budden and all of them, the slaughterhouse, all of the rhymers that was on there, Royce and everybody else that was involved. You know what I mean? I think if M was doing stuff with him, if he they were not just under him, but he was involved, yeah, shout out to him too. Everybody involved in that. You'll be going to the slaughterhouse and you'll be led straight to the butcher. Straight to the butcher. For going with the herd economically. And we know where the herd is economically speaking, right? Look at what's going on. The prices are sky high on things because not enough people are adding and subtracting. That's why. Not enough people are adding and subtracting. These are the facts. It is what it is. And you can't beat it no other way. The solution is not to go make more money. It's going to cost you more money to go make that money. You got to go drive to that job. It's going to cost you gas. You're not packing your lunch either. You're going to buy something. Even if you pack your lunch, you're going to want a snack. And if it's a hard day, you're going to want something on the way home. And ain't you going to get something else on the way home while you get something else on the way home? And what about the weekend? Self-control, discipline, adding, subtracting, and not spending money based on emotions. You just really got to think. You got to think. If you do want to say spending money emotionally, then maybe you want to say emotionally, how can I spend this dollar in a way that will make me feel secure emotionally for a very, very long time? Now, you can transmute it and say, yeah, I spend my money emotionally, but it's not because somebody cut me off in traffic and I'm mad. Now, you threw that money away because that mad moment is gone. And it just gets more and more intense because when you're not paying attention, then the karma gets darker, then mishaps can happen, misfortunes. You know what I mean? The furnace could break. You know what I mean? All kinds of things happen, and we think that these disasters are just by chance. It's not by chance. Chance is given to people who don't understand choice. There is no chance. There is no luck. Luck is just another way of saying whatever you ain't paying attention to. Oh, I got good luck. You did something good. Oh, I got bad luck. You missed something. You missed a detail, and that was to your detriment. It don't work any other way. There's no chance. Now, I'm not here to say that bad things should happen to good people or vice versa. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is your fate, your destiny is all in the details. We like to say that the devil's in the details. Well, we need to put the angel in the details. We need to put the Lord in the details, the God in the details. We need to put the mind in the details. We need to put the self in the details. Yeah, the devil's in the details. That makes us run away from the details. Who's trying to hang out with the devil? Right? I mean, essentially, this is what the general populace says. Even in a more proverbially left-handed type of energy that's out there. Not even everybody on the left is talking about the devil per se. They're talking about like entities and different angels, demonologies, angelologies, etc. But again, getting back to this money, you're going to chase it if you can't magnetize it. And we living in the generation now, at a time now, and people are just hating on it because that's all they got left to do is hate on it. Instead of wanting to try to find out, I want to find out how people are becoming millionaires using their smartphones, millionaires. I'm not going to put it on no, oh, this is hocus pocus, this is a scam. Nah, I believe in hard work, and I know that you can get there. I made money online before, so I know it's real. You know, and if you can make a little bit, you can make a lot of it. That's facts. If you can make a little, you can make a lot. Just reproduce whatever happened that made the money the first time and do it 1,000 times. Do it 1,000,000 times if you got to. It'll cost you just a phone bill and some internet. You got to budget. You have to budget and try to be using everything to monetize. I know that's an interesting word, to monetize. If you don't understand that, you could say like to add value, to sustain value. So you might not find a way to like make $1 off of every 50, 60 footsteps you take type of thing. No, but it'll be enough for you to say, I don't need to go across town to get something that's right around the corner. You get that? Or you might say, you know what? I could go a whole day just drinking water. I don't have to have soda or juice. I don't need coffee. I don't have to have coffee, even if I can drink 10 cups a day. It don't mean I have to do it. Because when it comes down to the adding and subtracting, if I don't like the math, then it has to pass. If I don't like the math, then it has to pass. Nice bottle of Rosé Imperial Moet. Big boy bottle, could get it every weekend with the check. But the bottle only gonna last for the weekend. And it took all week to earn what's in the check for the money. Do I want it to go out on something that lasts for such a short time? Let's say I'm making $200, or let's say I made $1,000 and I wanna spend on a $100 dinner. That's a tenth of it. You know what I mean? A tenth of $1,000 is 100. The meal is only gonna last that evening. If you're going out to eat, you might have the leftovers for the next morning, but that $100 took hours to make. You wasn't making $100 an hour. You might have been making, who knows, you might have been making $15, $16, $17 an hour, but either way, it took you a couple of hours to make something that got consumed in seconds. Even the dollar bill is lasting longer than what we spend it on sometimes. Once we eat, the food is gone. Once we drink, the drink is gone. Once we smoke, the smoke is gone. Once we went out to watch the movie, is over. We can't go back in for free. If we do this over and over and over and over, not thinking about it, and we're not paying attention, what the scriptures say, God gonna sharpen his arrows, and things gonna start hitting even harder. Like, oh, you don't get the lesson? Arrows get sharp. They get sharper and sharper. Nope. Be economically responsible. For all of the Bible lovers, everybody that's promoting the scriptures, there's more things in there about money than anything else. It's roughly 70% economics, finances. But we look at this like, oh, financiers, accountants, these are big words. I gotta be adding long numbers. No, you don't. You ain't making long numbers. All you gotta add is 3 or 4 digits to the left of the zero. Come on, stop. And you're not adding up the money for the year. You're kidding yourself. If you're not budgeting for a week, you ain't budgeting for a month. If you're not budgeting for a month, you ain't budgeting for a year. Whether that year end in 5 figures or 6 figures, you're not budgeting for it. You're not sitting down for 2 and 3 hours that one time to get the money right that one time, based on how the bills is falling at what time. You're not factoring all of that in. So when things happen, you don't have any discretionary money stashed. And the more you notice how the more irresponsible we get with money, sometimes it'll attract even worse things. Again, that sharpening of the arrow. You can lose a job blowing money. You can lose a job blowing money. Happens all the time. All you got to do is try to spend on the level of the people that's there and where you want to go. And just like that, you'll be broke again. You'll find yourself not working to live, but living to work. So you'll be like, man, I need another job. No, you don't. Because you're still not paying attention to what you're spending. You're still not adding and subtracting. No, you don't need to make any money. Nothing need to be coming your way if you're not managing what's coming. You got to be on top of that. All it takes is addition and subtraction. But it's hard. Well, then add in some self-control. Everything could be remixed. Welcome to GDP, gross domestic product. There's hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands of different type of grocery items. Choose wisely. There's thousands of ways to eat, thousands of ways to drink. Choose wisely. Do you really need to get Deer Park spring water by the case? Or do you need to just boil the water on the stove first, and then once it cools off to lukewarm, put it in the freezer, thereby having distilled it to some level yourself? Economics. So that's my rant on economics and why addition and subtraction, that's the only way out of the rat race. It's the only way out. Addition and subtraction. Not hard work. Because again, remember, you can work you work so hard, and the one thing that you're supposed to be working hard is that ain't getting no effort. You say, I'm gonna work 10 hours a day. I'm gonna work 12 hours a day. I'm gonna work 50 hours a week, 55 hours a week. I'm gonna push it to the limit. So now I can buy those new boots that I want. Now I can buy that. Now I can buy that. How long is that? How long is that thing? Shout out to Lauryn Hill. How long is that thing going to last? A good investment is clothes, as superficial as that sounds. You can buy some clothes off the clearance rack. Designer label. Everything that you've ever seen me wear, at least 95% of the clothing you see me wear on this channel and every video is all clothing from like 2007. Clothing can be an investment. I haven't had to shop since 2007. 90% of what I got was off of the clearance rack. Stacked. Put it aside, added, subtracted. Didn't say I had to have something now. I said, can you hold it for me? Sometimes it took a little longer because, like, man, I'm up here, being hypocritical, getting more Starbucks than I really want to. But Starbucks is right outside the store and I can smell it all day. I'm working in the mall. I'm you know what I mean? Lack of self-control. I gotta have the caffeine. I'm on my feet. I'm making excuses. Man, it's just something to get me through the day, man. It's slow. I need to go down there and get me an espresso. Making excuses, being hypocritical. Me. Yeah. So the polo tennis jacket took a little longer to get out than I expected. But you know what? I didn't go get a credit card to swipe for it. I didn't have to have it now. I just said, you know what? I'm going to stack. I'm going to do my adding and subtraction. I'm going to budget accordingly. So I made my necessary sacrifice. I was like, come on, T. You don't need to get Chinese food twice a day, every day. Come on. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to knock one of those off because I got to get that jacket. I'm going to be wearing that jacket 15 years from now. That's an investment. I'm going to be wearing that jacket 20 years from now still. That's an investment. I'm making a wise decision. It's clothing. Clothing is right up there with food and shelter. Food, clothing, and shelter. Right? That's an investment. So it took me saying, nah, I'm going to wait. You know what I mean? The jacket wasn't increasing in price. It wasn't increasing in price. You know what I mean? I didn't get it by credit card. I said, you know what? I can't afford it now. Yo, put it to the side for me. I got you. I'm gonna come with it. I'm gonna come with it. And it wasn't even me going down to put like, all right, here's $15. All right, I'm coming next week with it. Nah, I put it all to the side, stacked it right where, stacked it where I needed to stack it. You know what I mean? Threw what I needed to throw in the bank. And when I was ready, I came with it. And interestingly enough, by that time, it was a little bit cheaper. I ended up getting some weird kind of discount or something like that because I worked there. I guess I wasn't even factoring that part in. I was just factoring in, that's the price I see. I'm not coming to get the jacket until I have that price on me in cash. A little more than that too, because I want to have change for uh, some hypocrisy. I might want to have get a strawberry milkshake or something on the way home. See how that works? Made room for the hypocrisy. So it's more detailed than we even think. But we're in no position to protest if we're not putting it into practice.